Our story takes place in the city of Hamburg, Germany, at the renowned German National Opera. Here, an orchestra is meticulously preparing the stage for an upcoming rehearsal. Unbeknownst to them, a group of armed mobsters sneaks up on them. As the conductor arrives, the musicians begin their rehearsal session, completely unaware of the impending threat. However, the tranquility is shattered when the thugs burst in, firing shots into the air. A rescue team led by John arrives in no time. John issues final instructions to his team as the criminals broadcast live, declaring their takeover and demanding an incredible $300 million ransom. Despite the escalating tension, John urges restraint and patience, awaiting his orders before any retaliation. The drama escalates when the mob boss chooses a woman and justice regardless. This triggers the defiance of Matthew, one of John's team members, who goes against orders and retaliates, prompting John to authorize the tactical unit to intervene. A fierce firefight ensues, in which John's unit shows exceptional skill and manages to overpower most of the criminals. After a heated exchange of fire, John reprimands Matthew for his insubordination, only to discover that Matthew has been wounded. In a shocking turn of events, a masked gangster emerges from the hostages, only to be shot down by Matteo. Tragically, this distraction provides an opportunity for another thug to fatally wound John. 5 years later, Matteo is in Romania leading an unsatisfying life as a retired special agent working at the Assam mill. He is haunted by his past, particularly John's death. Choosing to face his past, Matteo announces his retirement and books a ticket to Bucharest. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, Agent Shira leads an Interpol team to intercept a drug shipment and arrest a group of mobsters belonging to different associations. The news reaches the notorious mafia boss Sabin. Among the detainees is an undercover Interpol agent who contributed to the success of the operation. Shira stresses the need for more information to catch the mob bosses. At the same time, Matteo arrives in Amsterdam and meets Paul, a cryptocurrency businessman. Despite assuring his client that the proceedings will go smoothly, Paul is worried about his cryptocurrencies. Upon arriving at John's home, Matthew is greeted by Angie, John's daughter, and Helene, John's widow and now Paul's wife. He is invited in and learns about Helene's new life. Helene criticizes Matthew for his absence at John's funeral, considering their brotherly bond. Matteo acknowledges his guilt over John's death, an admission Helene has difficulty confronting as she has moved on and prefers not to relive those painful memories. As Matthew prepares to leave, Helene invites him to stay longer. Unbeknownst to them, Siobhan and her gang have discovered a traitor in their ranks. Paul arrives home to find Matteo with Angie and Helene, who informs him of Matteo's past friendship with John and that he will be staying with them for a while. After dinner, Matteo retires outside, his mind invaded by memories of John and their shared experiences in Afghanistan. They had talked about their families, and John had revealed that Helene was expecting. Angie confides to her mother that she has taken a liking to Matteo. Later, Paul and Matthew share a conversation in which Matthew reminds him that there is always something worth fighting for. Helene reassures Paul, stating that he need not worry about Matteo, as they have had many experiences together with John. Later, Matteo finds a note from Angie asking him not to leave without saying goodbye. The next morning, Matteo goes out for a jog. When he returns, he sees Helene and Angie leaving for school and accepts Helene's request to dog sit. Siobhan visits Paul, questioning him about the $15 million missing from his account. Paul attempts to placate her by attributing the problem to a small hiccup in the cryptocurrency market, promising a quick resolution. Paul asks for one more day, but Siobhan sternly reminds him that he has only 24 hours. As Siobhan leaves, an undercover Interpol agent follows his movements. However, they soon find that they too are being tracked. Back home, Matthew, somewhat disillusioned with life, dabbles in some carpentry work. Helene invites him on a family outing, where he enjoys himself, especially with Angie. A worried Paul returns home in anguish and confides to Helene only that he has accounts to settle, hiding the truth about Siobhan. Matthew continues his physical training, unaware of the shocking discovery of a murdered body suspended from a bridge by adventure tourists. The victim, identified as the mole cooperating with Interpol, was sent by Siobhan's men. The news reports a cryptocurrency collapse, while Paul receives a demanding phone call from Siobhan for his money. Despite the urgency, Paul assures him of a solution, prompting Siobhan to send his men to resolve the matter. Shira and her partner deduce that the mobsters are delivering a message. Busy with work, Paul informs Helene that he will not be able to return home. While enjoying a pizza, Angie gives Mateo a drawing. Helene asks Matthew to extend his stay for Angie's sake. Suddenly, gangsters arrive and tail them. Angie sees them and tries to intervene, but Mateo protects her. However, the woman is kidnapped and Mateo, despite being injured, manages to chase them on a bicycle. Learning of the kidnapping, Paul contacts Siobhan, but his pleas are met with silence. Undaunted, Mateo continues his pursuit, jumping into a car and engaging in a fight with the kidnappers, which results in an accident. Mateo regains consciousness in a hospital, handcuffed. Shira introduces herself to Helene and Paul, but shortly afterward Mateo is released. He informs Shira of his plans to rescue Angie. Shira shares what she knows about Siobhan and the other associated gangs, indicating that the kidnapping is personal. Questioned, Paul remains tight-lipped. Shira leaves her business card with Matthew. As she leaves with her partner, the two try to discover the connection between Siobhan and the kidnapping. One of Siobhan's henchmen observes the situation. Meanwhile, Angie is held captive in Siobhan's club, where news comes of Mateo's escape from the hospital. Mateo prepares to launch a rescue mission, gathering the necessary items. When Paul tries to dissuade him, he accidentally lets slip Siobhan's involvement, revealing that he owes her $15 million. Armed with John's guns, Matthew instructs Paul to call Siobhan and convince him that he has the funds, proposing an exchange with Angie. Siobhan accepts the deal, pointing to a construction site for the exchange. Matthew promises Helene that he will bring Angie back safely. Interpol deduces that Paul is withholding information. Meanwhile, Mateo commandeers Shira's partner's car and arranges a meeting with Paul. However, sensing danger since Mateo is associated with Interpol, Paul is worried. Mateo arrives at the appointed place, where he meets Siobhan's gangsters. He asks to see Angie, but is informed that she is not there. The agreement was to hand over the money only to ensure Angie's safety. The gangsters forcibly seize his bag, but after inspection by the foreman, it is discovered to be a bomb. The ensuing explosion injures several gangsters, while shrapnel hits others. Matthew drags the surviving leader away for questioning. At home, Helene is arrested by one of Siobhan's henchmen. A scuffle follows with the Interpol agent, who is cut several times by a blade. Only Helene's gunshot scares off the assailant. Meanwhile, Paul hastily packs up. Matthew detains and tortures the captured gangster to learn Angie's whereabouts. Eventually, the gangster capitulates and reveals his location. Helene takes care of the injured Interpol agent. However, when the agent asks Paul for help, the agent coldly ignores him and leaves. As Paul heads for his car, one of Siobhan's lurking henchmen executes him. Shira arrives on the scene as the henchman drives away and comforts her partner by assuring him of a future medal for his bravery. Matthew orders Shira to organize reinforcements for the rescue mission. Siobhan, concerned about the lack of updates from her men, talks to Angie, asking her if Mateo will come to rescue her. She, confident, states that he will. When Mateo reaches the club, the bodyguards attempt to bar his way. A confrontation ensues, while Shira joins the fray, helping Mateo neutralize the opponents. Sabin decides to flee while Shira and reinforcements render the remaining gangsters harmless. Sabin orders his remaining men to stay behind. When Mateo and Shira meet them, a fierce fight breaks out, while Sabin escapes with Angie. The battle continues, but Mateo decides to pursue Sabin alone. When he confronts Sabin, who is holding Angie hostage, Mateo is warned not to approach lest Angie be shot. Suddenly, Mateo throws a blade into Sabin's heart. Although Sabin manages to shoot Mateo before he dies, Mateo survives the wound and Angie rushes to his side. 6 months later, Angie and Helene wonder if Mateo will ever return as he is seen alone on a boat sailing. At the hospital, Shira's companion is awarded the Medal of Honor. Upon his arrival, Shira informs him that they have other duties to perform.